In the silence of a Texas prison cell, a father waits. Outside, the world has already judged him guilty. For over 2 decades, Robert Roberson has lived with a single name carved into his heart, Nikki. The daughter he loved, and the daughter the world says he killed. They called it shaken baby syndrome. They called it murder. But what if they were wrong?
The clues are real. The stories are darker. Step inside the twisted mind of crime. This is Crime Logic Uncovered.
In 2002, in the quiet town of Palestine, Texas, a single father rushed his 2-year-old daughter to the hospital. She wasn't breathing. Her name was Nikki Curtis. Robert Roberson, a shy, soft-spoken man who struggled with health issues and lived a quiet life. That night would change everything. Doctors claimed the injuries matched what they'd been trained to recognize as shaken baby syndrome. Bleeding in the brain, swelling, retinal hemorrhages. To them, it was clear. But to Robert, it was a nightmare that began the moment he called for help. Robert Leslie Roberson grew up in East Texas, modest, quiet, gentle in temperament. He worked manual jobs and kept to himself. He was a man of few words. When Nikki was born, she became his world, her laughter his light, her presence his purpose. He cared for her, comforted her, and shielded her from his own fears. But beneath that gentle exterior, Robert carried struggles, in health, in expression, in understanding life's fragility. These burdens would later shape how others perceived him in his darkest hour. On January 31st, 2002, Nikki fell ill. She had a fever, was lethargic, and suddenly, she stopped breathing. In panic, Robert rushed her to the emergency room. Doctors said her brain was bleeding. Within hours, their questions turned cold. Instead of asking how to save Nikki, they asked Robert how he had hurt her. He said she fell off the bed days before. He said she'd been sick, fragile. But the medical community had already built its own story, one that would seal his fate. In court, the state's case leaned on prevailing medical doctrine. Prosecution experts testified. The brain swelling, the retinal hemorrhages, the pattern of injury, all signs of violent shaking. They argued that Robert must have lost control, that a father's frustration became a fatal act. But Robert's defense painted a different picture. They showed Nikki had been ill in the days leading to her death, respiratory distress, infection, possibly pneumonia. They introduced the possibility that certain medications, like codeine plus promethazine, might depress breathing, causing brain injury. The jury never saw these as equally powerful. Robert's calm demeanor was portrayed as guilt. His limited emotional expression, later linked to autism traits, was misread as indifference. In 2003, he was convicted and sentenced to death. The court believed it had certainty, but the defense believed something else, that certainty was a dangerous illusion. Death row in Texas, a place where time stands still. Days turn into years. Letters turn into lifelines. In his cell, Robert saw images of his lost daughter. He wrote letters to courts, to media, to faith. He waited. Decade after decade, the years stretched. Outside, the world's understanding of SBS began to shift. But inside those walls, Robert's life ground forward, one day at a time. He lost childhood anniversaries, family milestones, hope that younger men around him kept alive. Still, he never stopped claiming that his truth remained untouched. In recent years, the foundations of the shaken baby diagnosis cracked. New research showed many injuries once ascribed to violence could be caused by natural disease, undetected genetic conditions, minor falls, or even hypoxia. Leading pediatric neurosurgeons began to voice doubts. Robert's legal team pressed those doubts. What if Nikki's illness caused brain failure? What if the triangulated medical testimony was overstated? What if Robert's diagnosis, demeanor, and autistic traits were misinterpreted in an emotionally charged courtroom? Some expert reports presented alternative models of brain injury, questioned the validity of old SBS triad doctrine, and flagged that many high-profile wrongful convictions rested on similar shaky science. In October 2025, in a dramatic turn, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals paused Roberson's execution. The state acknowledged that the science used to condemn him is now under serious question. For the first time in 23 years, the clock stopped. Robert was not freed. He was not exonerated. But the state conceded, this case deserves a second look. He took a breath he had not taken in decades, not of liberty, but of reprieve. And in that pause, both his life and his guilt hung in limbo again.
If you enjoyed watching this thrilling crime story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.